Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 152 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I really appreciate you. If you could do me a huge favor, be sure to subscribe in iTunes and Google Play and leave an honest review. Also, the podcast is available on Spotify now. So if you are consuming podcasts on Spotify, that's a great place to listen and subscribe as well. Before we begin, today we're going to be talking about paid advertising. What should your budget be? How can you figure out a budget that works for your veterinary practice? And we're going to be talking about a few things that I think are very, very important, specifically for privately owned practices. So if you are looking to grow your business with paid advertising, this is going to be a great episode for you. If you've ever wondered, should I be doing ads? What should my budget be? This is what we're going to be talking about today. So it's going to be very helpful. Before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. Just mention that. But if you would like more help, a good place for you to go is to head on over to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group. You can ask for help, you can collaborate, you can get questions answered. It's a great place to get even more help and even more resources for marketing your veterinary practice. I'd also like to mention, too, that if you are looking for help with your paid advertising, you should head on over to whiskercloud.com/advertising. I work with Whisker Cloud, full disclosure, on creating paid ad campaigns for veterinary practices at great prices. So if you head on over to whiskercloud.com/advertising, that's a great place to help you get started with your paid ads as well. All right, so let's jump into today's episode. What should your budget be? Now, this is a little bit of a conflict of interest because I run tons of ads, and I think that ads are the best thing ever because there's a few reasons why I think ads are amazing. Number one is that it is consistent, scalable. You can turn it on and off, and with the digital marketing tools that are available now, you're able to track and measure better than ever before. So if you've ever done any kind of traditional media or traditional ads or direct mail or anything in the past, it takes time, it's costly, and there's typically big risks and huge potential for downside. If you're ever sending out mailers or doing flyers or doing, print ads, there was typically a long production time, a long lead time, and then it was difficult to track the results. Now, a lot of people do have difficulty tracking digital marketing, but I think that can be fixed by making your digital marketing as simple as possible. And so, if you're nervous about, is this going to work? Is this something that I should be doing? I think the question that you need to ask yourself is, do I need new clients coming into my practice? And if the answer is yes, which should be everybody saying, hey, I need new clients coming into my practice, well, where's the place that people are spending time in general? Where are your clients spending time? How can you actively find those people, get in front of them, and consistently drive them into your practice? So that's why digital marketing is so important, and specifically paid ads. Organic traffic is amazing if you're able to create SEO in a way that drives clients into your practice. That's awesome. But the problem is, how can you scale free? Typically, scaling free is not something that you're in control of, and so as a result, it makes it difficult to get more clients. If you wanted to grow, how are you going to do more with SEO? I guess you could find additional key phrases to target, create content for that. But it is time consuming and it's difficult. So that's why I really like paid ads. Now, I think that you should have all of your SEO and all of your assets in place so that you can actively be driving people into your practice as many ways as possible. But the reason why I like paid ads is because you can turn it on, turn it off, and measure it. So that being said, what should your budget be? I get this question all the time. And I think that a lot of practices out there are going to be in trouble if they don't figure out some way to generate clients with paid advertising. And I'm going to tell you why. Last weekend, I saw Petco just opened its most recent Thrive veterinary hospitals. And just the corporate level of takeover of veterinary practices is huge. And so you have companies that are funded well. They have the ability to test and try things all the time. They have the ability to undercut prices. It's interesting. The Thrive Petco place that I was looking at, the actual sign on the front of the building said Thrive, affordable veterinary care. And so like the very first thing that they're doing is they're branding it as affordable veterinary care. So, consumers don't know the difference necessarily between one place or another. So they're going to typically look for price a lot of times. And so you're competing against huge companies that have large resources, that have marketing departments. And so it's going to be difficult, and it's only going to get more and more difficult. I've heard from several friends that the corporate offers are coming in on a weekly basis, and buyouts are happening left and right. And so it's just getting more and more competitive. It's very, very interesting to see what's happening. So how do you survive as a small practice or maybe a multi-doctor practice competing up against these huge corporations that have huge resources and huge budgets in general? So number one, I think that you need to have, before you run any kind of ads, you number one need to know who you're serving. Number two, you need to know what it is that they actually want. And then number three, you need to create an offer that is going to be very, very enticing to try to drive these people into your practice. You need to understand that once you have a relationship with a client, and if you're able to convert your clients into long-term clients, you're building relationships that are going to last. People want to do business with other people that they know, like, and trust. And so that being said, having a personal family vet for their family, which is them and their pet, is something that's very, very valuable to pet owners in general. So how do you capitalize on that? I think you're going to have to do it with paid advertising. So if you are a general small animal practice, number one, again, you have to figure out the three questions that I mentioned. Who are you targeting? What do they want? And what's the offer that you're going to give them? But once you have that in place, you need a way for them to take that offer before you start any ads in general. So you need a landing page. You need a way for people to get into your practice, to set up a time to call you, to set an appointment. And that being said, once that's in place and you're ready to go, I think that the next best thing to do is to get ads running both on Facebook and also on Google Ads. For every single veterinary practice out there, 100%, I can say with certainty, I think that this is probably the best solution for everybody. And I know that there's not very often that I say there's something that everybody should be doing, but I think that this is something that everybody should be doing. If you own a veterinary practice, you should be doing this. And here's kind of how I think it should go. In general, your ads that you're going to be running on Google Ads, you're going to probably see clicks anywhere between $1.50 to roughly $4.50. And now, depending on how specific you get and how competitive your markets are, you can see clicks as high as $9 or $10 on Google. And this is just making general statements. Of course, everybody's situation is going to be different. But that being said, how much should you be bidding on keywords? What should your campaign budget be? So in general, I think that people should start out with a campaign budget that is 10 to 20 times the average cost per click of the ad group as a general rule. Now, this is just from a marketing standpoint. So we need enough data on these clicks to take info on, basically we need enough clicks to say, okay, these key phrases are working well. They're turning into clients. And these are the best price ones. We're going to take these, we're going to make its own ad group, and then we're going to optimize our ads for these keywords. We're going to put all of our money into these keywords because they're producing better clients for us. They're producing better results. You can't get to that level of data unless you actually put some money behind creating ads. Now, I don't think you should go out and just spend, let's say you have $1,000 to spend on an ad set that you're going to test and run, okay? If you went out and you just spent $1,000 testing, that's going to be a waste of money. Typically, what I like to do, if I had a $1,000 budget, just that's a round number, is that the first $200 we're going to be testing keywords. We need to get enough data. Now, this is assuming that we're going to be able to get enough data, but we're going to test with $200. We're going to confirm with the next $200, and then we're going to optimize with the last $600. And so I think that in general, that's how you should be approaching your ad spend, is that first we are going to test, then we're going to confirm, and then we're going to optimize. And what this does is it lets you create scale. And so if you want to generate clients for your veterinary practice, it's going to take some investment in ads to get funnels working, to figure out what your ad spend should be on a consistent basis, what your cost per acquisition is. A lot of times people say, I need my cost per acquisition or my cost per click to be $1.50 or to be $5, or, I'm going to run $6 a day for my ads. Or they throw out a number, and really it's not up to you or the marketing team that you have in place to tell you, okay, we have to get it under this amount or else it's not going to work. Unfortunately, when you're running ads on Google and Facebook and all these other things, you have ad networks that are basically auctions. And so you're competing for real estate in the ad space with all of the other companies that are competing to reach your clients and things. So that being said, sometimes you can't control what your clicks cost. So you have to figure out funnels that are going to work. You're going to have to test. And maybe the phrase animal hospital near me is twice as expensive as veterinary practice near me, right? And you don't know until you start testing and you start, really running these ads and getting in there. So here's a few tips for making sure that you're going to be getting success with your veterinary practice in running ads. Number one, ads, as much as the tracking is amazing, unless you have only one way for people to take action. So if you send out people to a landing page and the only way for them to take action is to fill out a form and they can't call you or anything like that, then you're going to be able to track that. You need to have, I think, typically more than one way to communicate, though. And so that being said, unless you're going to pay for additional, call tracking services or additional analytics services like Wicked Reports or, analytics that are going to work into your CRM or your practice management software, which is typically a lot more expensive in general, you need to be very, very good at having your front desk people follow up, set baselines, and figure out, how many clients do I have coming in normally? If I start running ads this week, on the reporting that we have, it does show that we got, 8 calls and we got 4 appointment confirmation requests. How many of those people actually came in? And, week between week, we saw an increase of, let's say, 10 additional people more than normal. Where did these people come from? We need to really get that working inside the practice, because as good as analytics are, as I mentioned, it's not a perfect science. And so you have to really make sure that you're able to find out where people are coming from, how they heard about you, and then optimize what's working, basically. The next thing that's equally as important is going to be tracking your response time to people that are making inquiries. So if people are calling in, you have to be available to pick up the phone, or somebody has to be available to pick up the phone. The next thing that is you need to really, really track is if you have people calling in and they're not converting into appointments, why are they not converting into appointments? Digital marketing only goes so far. If you're not able to actually take somebody from an interested person to closing them to come into the practice or setting up an appointment, then you need to really review the script that you have. It's amazing. When I've done telemarketing before, I had a job doing loans and selling loans by phone. And so I've spent hundreds of hours talking to people on the phone, selling them loans and things. And it's amazing how often people that call in have the exact same questions. It's like the exact same conversation. And the difference between having a script and not having a script where you're just winging it, especially if you've never been in sales before, the difference is night and day. And it's so interesting that tiny little phrases make the entire difference. And so figuring out what the people on the phone are saying, how can we improve it, and how can we increase conversion rates is so important. So the phone skills are very, very important. And, I'll just give you an example. So specifically in the loan business, what we would say is, instead of closing somebody and saying, hey, which loan would you like to take, and which one are you ready to get started, right? Which is a yes or no question. And if you say, are you ready to get started? Then typically the answer is no. I got to think about it. I got to ask. If you'd say instead, which option are you leaning towards today? And then you'd sit and wait. And they'd say, well, I'm thinking about option number 1. Great. Do you have 5 minutes to get the process started so that you can, and then you roll into benefits, and we would close every single time. So what is the close that you can do? And it's weird to think about it in terms of sales, but ultimately that's what it is. People are not going to come in or take action. Think about yourself, and I'm going to think about myself here. Everybody knows that we should be working out every day. Everybody knows you should be hitting the gym. Everybody knows you should be eating more vegetables. But how many times does it happen, right? Same thing with pet owners. They know they should be coming in. They know they should be doing preventative stuff. But what if, the skills of your staff on the phone helps them to take better care of their pets? I think that's how you need to frame sales in your practice in general, right? So selling means that somebody's going to come in. Selling them on, taking better care of their pet, not necessarily selling them to swindle out of their money. I think selling gets a bad rap, and I don't think that that's a good thing. So, that being said, what is the sales process? What is the next step in that customer value journey from going from a stranger to coming into the practice? Phone skills is a huge, huge part of that. And then the next thing that's equally as important is that you need to be able to respond to people in a reasonable amount of time. I am sure that you, as a consumer, are buying things on Amazon, and it's amazing how quickly things can get to you. And now it's not like a unique selling proposition to have free shipping. It's like, what? This company doesn't have free shipping? How is that even possible? I don't want to pay for shipping. I'm going to see if it's on Amazon, right? So not only is it free, but it's fast. So consumers are dealing they're not thinking like, well, it's a veterinary practice, so I don't expect them to get back to me in the next day. They can get back to me whenever, right? They're like, hey, I'm a consumer. This is a product that I want. How can I get this product? And so they have to be quick. You have to be right on it. If somebody sends you a request, then you have to get back to them in a reasonable amount of time. And it's amazing. Conversion rates drop off, I want to say about 80% if you're not able to get back to consumers. I've been seeing studies, and I'll have to pull it up and link it in the show notes. But the amount of time that you take, if it's more than 5 minutes to get back to somebody who wants information or has requested information, your conversion rate drops tremendously if you're slower than 5 minutes. So if you can get back to them quickly and you treat these new potential clients like gold, then you're going to get off a lot better because you're going to be able to convert more of these people. When I worked in the loan company, we used to call the phone the bat line because it had to be answered. And if it wasn't answered, it would be like the end of the world. So when the phone rings, you got to pick it up, and you have to treat it like it's the most important thing ever. Especially with paid ads, if you're paying to get people to call you, and these are people that are reacting to your marketing, right? And hopefully your marketing is doing a great job of segmenting your audience and really filtering out people who are not going to be ideal clients and things. If you think about this as like, okay, we're targeting people who we're imagining are our best clients. If you had those best clients that you're thinking of on the phone waiting to come in, and you're going to set up a relationship with these people, and you're going to be the veterinarian for these people for lifetime, you would want to get back to them so quickly. So I think that, framing this conversation, having everybody in the practice on board that, hey, we are going to be trying to attract your favorite clients, and we're going to try and fill up our schedule with people that we love working with, that want to come here, that want the best for their pets, and we're going to help to provide that for them. Like, that completely changes the way that you consider advertising in general. So I again think that you should be having paid ads going. I think that you need to have them set up before you need them, right? So setting them up when you're busy is better than setting them up when you're not busy. And let's say that competition has come in and, all of a sudden, geez, we got to get the phone ringing or else we're going to be out of business here, right? So setting it up when you're in good times is far better idea than setting it up when it's too late, right? So if you need any help, again, a great place for you to go to is whiskercloud.com/advertising. And if you have any questions, you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, go to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, and I will see you on the next week's episode. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.